All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about something that's happening inside your child's mind right now as we speak. It's this hidden process that builds these mental walls. But more importantly, we're going to explore how you can help them build bridges instead and really nurture a truly open mind.
Now, I know that sounds kind of shocking, right? A 4-year-old? But it's true. The foundations for bias, for prejudice, they're being laid down way earlier than most of us think. And listen, this isn't about bad kids or bad parenting. It's just about understanding how a little kid's brain actually works.
And here's the number that really shows just how urgent this is. Research has found a pretty staggering statistic. A whopping 87% of children have measurable biases by the time they're just 6 years old. Just let that sink in for a second. Without our help, without our guidance, these early patterns can get locked in for life.
So our first step together is to really understand these hidden walls. We need to see this not as some kind of moral failing, but as a completely natural, though, problematic, part of how our brains develop. A part that we actually have the power to guide.
And here's the thing that's so important to remember. This whole process actually comes from a good place. Your child's brain is this incredible learning machine, right? And it creates mental shortcuts to make sense of a really complex world. The problem is, sometimes those shortcuts, well, they can lead to some very wrong conclusions. Let's break down how.
So how does this actually happen? The best way to think about it is like a super efficient filing system inside their brain. It's a 3-step process. First, it just observes the world around it. Then, it starts to categorize people based on the patterns it sees. You know, appearance, the way people talk, you name it. Finally, and this is the dangerous leap, when it sees social hierarchies, it just assumes some groups are inherently better than others. It's an innocent mistake, really, but one with some pretty serious consequences.
And this totally natural process, it gets put on steroids in the modern world. I mean, teenagers today face a challenge we never did: social media. The algorithms actually reward extreme black and white opinions with more likes and shares. Nuance, complexity, that gets ignored. So their brains, which are hardwired for pure approval, literally get trained to think in absolutes. They start losing their natural curiosity.
Okay, so that's the problem. But the good news is you are not powerless here. Not even close. So let's shift gears and talk about the solution. Here is your practical toolkit. 4 really powerful strategies you can start using to intervene and nurture an open, curious mind.
The first tool is a total game changer. When your child says something that just makes you cringe, your first instinct is to shut them down, right? Don't say that, but try to resist that urge. Instead, get curious. Asking questions like these, it opens up a conversation. It teaches them how to think, not just what to think.
Okay, next up, you got to transform labels. Your kid is going to hear generalizations out in the world. Things like all people from that city are, or whatever it is. Use those moments, turn them into little learning opportunities to talk about individuality, and to start questioning where those stereotypes even come from in the first place.
Of course, these conversations have to be age appropriate. You're not going to talk to a 4-year-old the same way you talk to a teenager. For the little ones, say 3 to 6, you just focus on fairness and kindness. For elementary schoolers, you can start to introduce some simple historical context for why things are unfair. And for teens, you can dive into those deeper, systemic issues, and always empower them to be part of the solution.
And all of that brings us to what the research shows is the single most powerful strategy of all. It's about moving from just preventing a negative, like bias, to actively building a positive. And that is genuine, empathetic connection through friendship.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at this. Research from Harvard is totally clear on this. Meaningful, personal contact is the most effective prejudice reducer that exists. Period. When kids form real, actual friendships across their differences, those stereotypes they crumble.
So how do you do it? Well, this isn't about forcing friendships. It's really just about creating opportunities. It can be as simple as choosing diverse activities or going to cultural festivals in your community. It can even be about the books you read together. And this is huge, it's about modeling it in your own life. Because our kids, they are always watching us.
Ultimately, the goal here is to reframe their entire mindset. We want to raise curiosity champions. Teach them that when they meet someone different, the automatic thought shouldn't be a judgment. It should be a question. I wonder what their story is. That simple shift transforms potential prejudice into genuine human interest.
Woo! Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. But knowledge is really only powerful when we put it into action, right? So let's focus on one simple, totally manageable first step you can take today.
Because when you boil it all down, it comes down to this one question. The small, consistent things you do will add up over time. You are the primary architect of your child's worldview. So what kind of mind are you going to help them build? One with high walls or one with open doors?
So here it is, your mission should you choose to accept it. And it's really simple. Go back to that slide with the conversation starters. Pick just one and use it with your child sometime this week. That's it. That one small step, that's how you begin to plant the seeds of understanding that are going to last them a lifetime.